This is what we call a super cycle for Ethereum right now. This means that institutions buy about $1 billion worth of stock every week that was used to buy Ethereum spot. However, Wall Street is now automating or tokenizing the real world in 2025. There's only 5% Ethereum left. Bitcoin is being seen by governments as a reserve currency. And I think that when states start buying Bitcoin, that will be a bigger buyer than the halving cycle. This means I don't think there is a halving cycle because of institutions and states. That means that just 1 or 2 purchases need to make you 100 times your money, and your life will never be the same again. That's what crypto is all about. It's a chance to bet on the future, but I think the same 100 times chance for a huge gain exists with Ethereum right now, since it's been one of the blockchains that no one has paid attention to for 5 years. But now there are lots of good things going on, and it's almost time for Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. Indeed, I think the choice we've all been waiting for will be made in the next 3 days. These changes will make it possible for the trillions of dollars we've been waiting for all year to flood into XRP. Now, I just want to quickly go over the most important things that are happening this week. We have figures on retail sales for August. Then there is the Fed's choice on interest rates on Wednesday. That's it. Now is the time you've been waiting for. There is a lot of evidence that the Fed will lower interest rates. But if that does happen, I have something to show you. There have been 20 times in the last 20 years when the Fed cut rates while the S&P 500 was at a record high. The next year, stocks ended up. This is also true for cryptocurrencies, and this means that there is a 100% chance that the S&P 500 will end the year higher. Aside from that, the crypto market is linked to the Fed's policy choices in the same way that the S&P 500 is. But there is one thing you should watch out for. 11 of the last 22 times this happened, stocks went down the next month. For that reason, there's a 50% chance that we will trade lower in the 30 days following the Fed's rate cut. There are a lot of people who are going to forget what I just said and say, Levi, you said the S&P 500 stocks and crypto were supposed to go up. Don't pay any attention to that video. Listen, 12 months, all right? Remember that, guys. It's likely to end higher, but there's a 50-50 chance that it won't be at those all-time highs in the next month. In the next year, though, if it goes up, none of that matters. That's what I want to make very clear. It will get even crazier if the Fed cuts rates more than once. Price changes are very possible in the short term, but price increases are almost certain in the long term. That's all you need to know. In today's film, Tom Lee will talk about the super cycle in more detail. Let him say more. Pay attention. Since 2017, I've been interested in crypto, and that's when we first wrote that we thought clients should buy at least 1% to 2% of Bitcoin. It was also less than $1,000 back then. It's now over $110,000. That's a 100 times return. And this year I changed how I think about Ethereum, because I think Ethereum will be one of the most important mega trends for the next 10 to 15 years. And then I had the chance to work with a different group called Us.Thankx. I get along well with them at work. They've done business with me for 15 years. We also had the chance to set up an Ethereum bank on a business that was already up and running. So this idea made a lot of sense to us. I believe Ethereum will be one of the most important supercycle stories for the next 10 to 15 years. And this was a chance to start a business or change an existing one in the same way that MicroStrategy did with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still something I like, and we still tell our clients to use it because I believe Bitcoin is a great way to keep money safe. That means it's digital gold. But things are changing in a much bigger way in 2025. And this is because the White House has pushed 2 different plans. The first is the BRIGHT Act, and that's to basically give stablecoins the go-ahead, and the use of stablecoins will grow a lot. There are about $280 billion worth of stablecoins in circulation right now. Basin, who is in charge of the Treasury, thinks it will get close to $4 trillion, and yes, he is. That's growth that goes on and on. Plus, there's the SEC's Project Crypto, which makes Wall Street more likely to look at digital assets and rebuild itself on the blockchain. We are now in a very exciting time when the financial system is moving everything to a digital base. This is what Wall Street has chosen to do on Ethereum. So Ethereum is going through a super cycle, which is a lot like what happened when the US dollar stopped being backed by gold in 1971. Because the dollar stopped being real in 1971, that's when Wall Street came up with new financial goods. However, Wall Street is now automating or tokenizing the real world in 2025. Ethereum is special for a number of reasons. First, Wall Street uses it to build stablecoins and tokenized assets. But Ethereum is a blockchain that works with proof of stake. In other words, Ethereum bank companies make money. Since this was the case, MicroStrategy stock did better than Bitcoin. The price of MicroStrategy stock was $13 in August 2020. It costs $335 now. It's 25 times bigger now. Bitcoin is now worth $110,000, up from $10,000. It's now 11 times higher. MicroStrategy stock, on the other hand, has grown 25 times. Why is that? Because MicroStrategy has raised the value of your Bitcoin per share as a treasury business. And every week, BitMine is making your Ethereum Ethereum health per share better. It's getting bigger by about 50 cents every day. To give you an idea, the stock was worth $4.50 when we told you about the treasury plan. The stock is now $43. It's now 10 times more expensive. In that time, Ethereum's value has grown by 50%. Because your Ethereum health per share is going up, Bitmine has done better than Ethereum. Going back to the first case, let's say you had $4 worth of Ethereum or Bitmine stock on July 8th. Then let's say Ethereum lost 50%. The first person who bought Ethereum now only has $2 because it dropped 50% from $4 when they bought it. Today, though, someone has $40 worth of Ethereum, and it's $20 a share if it falls by 50%. Even though Ethereum dropped 50%, you still made money. So a crypto treasury that is handled and run correctly will do much better than an ETF or Ethereum itself. That's why banks know it's better to buy MicroStrategy than a Bitcoin ETF. MicroStrategy is a bigger company than any Bitcoin ETF. That being said, I do like XRP stocks better than XRP ETFs for this exact reason. However, that doesn't mean that XRP ETFs won't also completely change the future.